I'd like to discuss a bit what pretty much for us at Sitecore, and I'll speak about who we are and who I am in a second. But I want to, let's say, briefly give you a rundown of what we're going to discuss. And when we talk about total experience, sounds a bit like an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie from 1985. That's not what we mean. It's really about what is customer experience inhaling these days. Here we go. Very briefly about myself. Yes, I like talking about myself. It's not about me. I'm from Hamburg, so that's why I put Moin up there. I'm what we call an area vice president, so pretty much overseeing sales and professional services at Sitecore. I'm doing this for quite a while. I'm fascinated what AI and technology does to our private lives, but also business lives. I think we all have to be a bit careful how ethically are we using those technologies moving forward. But from a business perspective, it's definitely super, super exciting what's happening there. And I always worked at this, let's say, interaction of, I would say, technology and humanity, what this ultimately means, data-driven marketing, how do you understand behaviors, people react to something. And I wanted to start with a video, just briefly, that you understand a bit what we are doing. And then we're also going to talk about if we are looking into projects with customers that are a lot about change and changing customer behavior, but also siloing data in traditional companies. I'm going to talk about what kind of tools are we using so that customers actually are not afraid about the change that's actually going to be managed there. But yeah, let's roll the video quickly. There should be some sound.
The simplicity that revolutionizes the way that you manage content, and the vision that pairs your business with the right technology for now and for the future. Imagine if your organization could gain the advantage by exceeding customer expectations and staying ahead of the competition, while experiencing the trust that comes with a relationship you can rely on throughout your digital marketing journey. Imagine no longer. Now you can discover all these benefits and more, because experience is everything. So access the knowledge that's been created over the years and the expertise to know what's coming next. Prepare to make a powerful impression and experience more with Sitecore.
I think that's it. Thank you so much. And I appreciate those corporate videos are kind of very fluffy, very Americanized, but we wanted to give you a bit of an idea what we ultimately are after when we're trying to modernize or really connect data silos in a consumer or customer journey. So anyhow, let's move a bit forward. We believe at Sitecore that experience is everything. So what we mean pretty much is that we believe digital technology, but also the underlying strategies behind this are key these days, and they can be an advantage. They should be an advantage if you want to stand out. And to be honest, that is true for B2B and B2C. Maybe 10 years ago, a lot of B2B boardrooms or decision makers were not really behind the overall idea that a good employee experience, a good consumer or customer experience is a brand value, a high brand value these days. But this has changed definitely. And I think ultimately we know digital, all the channels that are out there, that definitely play a big role. We've seen a channel explosion over the last 20 years, I think from 5 to 10 channels that we were all, how can I say, educated on in university. We now have so many channels, right? We have TikTok. Should we be on TikTok as a B2B brand? Yes, no, what's behind that? That all is experiences. And we have a powerful platform that actually supports you making very conscious decision if you want to be on certain channels and how personalized experiences should be. On top of that, why I just want to briefly give you an overview why I am here, why we are here. So first of all, of course, it's about listen, learn, exchange. So I really enjoyed the first keynotes this morning, or the first discussions around that. And of course, I mean, I want to exchange with you guys. I think it's good to do this again in the aftermath of that pandemic face to face. So that's good. But I also wanted to briefly give you, and again, I'm not going to read through this, who we are at Sitecore and what is driving us. So pretty much digital technologies at our heart. So we are a DXP. We're pretty much a leader in customer experience management, which can be all kinds of things, from content to experiences to commerce. Again, I'm not going to read through all this, but I wanted to give you a rough overview of who we are. We, of course, have strong partners in that environment, meaning we have more than 5,000 customers using us and drive their digital transformation on our platform. And we also have strategic alliances with these big companies in the CRM space, meaning Microsoft and Salesforce. And we have a fantastic community that helps us and helps our customers pretty much to bring those experiences to life. And ultimately, I mean, we're here together with you to deliver outstanding experiences. Quick question. Anyone knows what that number stands for? That's a tough one. I appreciate that. Give you a bit more. Very simple. And we're going to talk to attention in a second. You're absolutely right. That's what's happening in the internet in a minute. And it's not super, I think it's from 2021. But I think it's important for us to understand, if we are looking at what kind of friction do we have in customer journeys these days, and what is those friction doing towards conversion? Why is someone who was loyal not loyal anymore? I think it's always good to understand there's a lot of stuff out there, right? It's happening fast. There's happening a lot. And again, we just wanted to remind you that all there, your ask, and again, that is true for B2B and B2C. Like LinkedIn is hugely important these days to really double down on a, for example, good candidate or employee experience. But there we go. Quick question. So what do you think the average attention spent is these days? And I can give you some kind of support. It was, I think that's from the early 2000s. So it was 13 seconds. Goldfish has 9 seconds. 2015 was down to 8. And I think in 2020, it was down to 7 seconds. So what I'm trying to say with that is the margin for error is so thin if you want to make a good impression with a consumer, with a B2B decision maker, or even with an employee, if you're trying to get him or her on board for that. And let's be very honest. I believe the numbers are not very accurate anymore. Things are faster, even faster as things are accelerating so much. So we believe customer experience is everything, and that means a good CX can really make the difference if you want to convert someone, if you want to keep someone as a loyal customer. I'm going to talk about what this means, but also the term of total experience. And again, I find it a bit, how can I say, it reminds me a bit about that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie from the 80s. I think it's called Total Recall. But there's more behind this. That's actually a Gartner term, right? Gartner says total experience is pretty much the whole experience you as a company provide your consumers, your prospects, your employees, and of course, pretty much the whole brand. What do you stand for? What kind of digital value proposition does your brand have? Those experiences play a big role into that. And I think that's hugely important. So for example, how difficult is it to find content that you want to use for a marketing campaign? How personalized is a candidate journey if you want to onboard someone who recently signed with you and made a decision, maybe a life-changing decision to join your company? This is all connected. That's behind that term. What I usually do when looking at those big terms and trends, I also, because I try to understand, was this always the same, and why is it faster, or is this now a super trend? I don't know if you know this gentleman. His name is Joe Pine. So he pretty much says experiences are the highest economic value a firm can produce, which is interesting, right? And again, he then brings up this, what I would call customer experience mandate, that we're now living in this world where pretty much the consumer decides, because they are in control. They can harm your brand if you're not responding to something on social. They will leave you if the customer journey is too frictioned, you're not personalized, you're not using data to drive the next conversion. So that's hugely important. I went a bit further in my preparation for this. This is not new, and I mean we all know this, right? Even in the, I think in the early 50s, a good customer experience in a store was personalized, and people who knew you might be more likely to sell you something. Anyhow, just coming back to Joe Pine, he and his partner wrote pretty much a book about this, which is from 1999. And they revamped this in 2019. Amazing book, quite interesting. They, in a very academic way, look at which brands are providing a superior customer experience and what is this doing to their business, towards loyalty, towards revenues, but also towards how loyal are pretty much employees, right? So it's really, really interesting what's happening there. I also wanted to provide, and switching gears a bit, about what we do. So for example, Puma is doing this with us. They took a very conscious decision to move all of their websites, including the corporate website, but also the e-commerce website, to us. And they pretty much achieved good things which helped them to increase customer experience overall, but also the underlying results are quite interesting, meaning simple things like actually people find you better because you're better listed, or simple things like that was important for them on the corporate website, that applicants can actually find you better and have a better experience there. So again, I'm really not to dilute the conversation here, but I think really what is interesting here on the Puma example is that we're not only talking about, hey, there's a better e-commerce experience and I can buy shoes faster, cheaper, whatever. This is a holistic project for them. They really wanted to have this experience across all sites and things like that, and the results are staggering. Again, for a reason, I don't want to talk too much about us. One thing that's important, we do this for a lot of brands like Tudor, which is Rolex. You see automotive brands here, right? So we do this for quite a few brands. It's interesting. Around 90 of the 100 most frequently sites globally, like .coms, run on Sitecore because they want to provide better experience, faster loading times, and things like that. Okay, let's move forward a bit. We believe those experiences matter a lot. So experiences beating product, meaning people pay more for your product if you provide a good customer experience. Secondly, experience versus price. I mean, the elephant in the room, or the 800-pound gorilla, is Apple. Apple has Ferrari-like margins, but they're selling like a Toyota, right? And that's very interesting what they've done there with this luxury brand, shiny brand that everyone wants to have, and Apple is really a status symbol. Interestingly, once you have a good experience, people are willing to pay more for your product. That's something, and again, that's not us, it's actually PwC saying this, and I'm not going to read through that because you can read on your own. They pretty much say the more you double down on customer experience, the less friction your B2B or B2C customer journeys have, the more willing people are to spend. But now it gets interesting. 87% of companies believe they deliver superior experiences. I can tell you, I am, from a consumer or end consumer point of view, I'm not with them. Only 11% of customers agree, and I think that is saying quite something. So we're still at the early stages of this, I would call, customer experience revolution. So there's still it's a significant gap to close, I believe. Let's be very honest. I believe in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, that's the market that I'm after, and Eastern Europe. This is even more true. We are laggards in some adopting those kind of technologies, and that's not a bad thing per se. I think we have to be very conscious about what decisions do we make to change this or not, and are we putting our businesses at risk or not. Okay, but also want to talk a bit about what do we do at Sitecore when customers say, this is all great, but I'm not Puma, I don't have 200 people, I'm not going to pay McKinsey to solve this. What can we actually do to do this? So where's pretty much that key to success to digital transformation? And what we do there, first of all, sit down with customers and say, listen, the technology is just an enabler. You can decide for us, other technologies, build things on your own, on an AWS or GCP. It's just an enabler. But it has become very, very difficult to navigate this jungle of solutions out there for you on the customer side. That's hugely, hugely important to understand. I, again, added a bit to this. I'm old, so that's pretty much where I started my career. 150 logos on that MarTech slide. Again, Scott Brinker, amazing technology enthusiast, but also quite a thought leader, is collecting all those companies every year, every day, almost, and put them in what they call MarTech map or super graphic. It's staggering, guys. So 150 in 2011, 2016 it was 3.5, and we're now in the latest one at 9,000. So what I'm trying to say, we technology vendors make it incredibly difficult for you guys to choose the right partner. So therefore, you need either us or consultancies to support you a bit on that journey. And I think it has gotten really, really difficult, right? Because it's so niche and things like that. Moving forward here. That's as nerdy as it gets today, I promise that. Because I don't want to talk too much about our technology. I wanted to talk a bit about how is Sitecore helping you in those areas. So it's about content experiences to commerce. We do this on a unified architecture. Unified architecture means you can actually have one customer profile to cater to all those things, from content operation to digital asset management to content management. That is pretty much on your turf, or the way you deal with content and campaign creation on your site. Then we move to the public side. So where do you put those contents? On an application, on a web server, on actually a cloud product like ours. And then you go, of course, into the CDP version. The CDP is actually underlying all of those technologies and is unifying the profile. Why is this important? You need to understand what someone said in social. You need to understand if someone clicked an email to be able to drive the next relevant communication in your whatever journey it is, right? So that's what we do. We then move towards personalization and testing. We can do this on-site, in apps, in marketing automation channels like an SMS, a push notification, or an email. That's the marketing automation piece. And then we have a very powerful, and that's the commerce piece down here, powerful solution that allows you to do commerce anywhere on a marketplace, but even on a social network. Like, how can you actually directly convert, for example, on a Pinterest advertising? That's a very B2C example. I appreciate that, but it's hugely important because you're taking so much friction out of this buying experience the second you do this. So therefore, you need a commerce solution that actually understands the data, but also allows you to do commerce anywhere, and that can mean on your premises or on others. Search and merchandising and order management is included, but again, I don't want to talk too much about technology because we don't have a ton of time. Because there's way more about this technology. I think when we talk digital transformation, it's hugely important that we understand what's behind this. So I think if I ask each and every one of you here, what is digital transformation for you? I would get either 20 answers or 20 different answers, maybe just 10. I think we are evolving a bit, but I think it's important, right? So and we're getting this ask from boardrooms who say, listen, we've looked at your technology, we do believe you are the right partner for us, but we're not ready. We're so not ready to drive all that change. So what can we do? We can do two things. We ourselves very often then speak about actually what the technology does, but also what kind of business model a customer has and how it should evolve or even be adapted to a more modern and more digitized business model. And of course, the culture is hugely important behind it. So let me double down a bit on that. So you see, I flipped that triangle bit. Let me talk about the cultural change. This is, I believe, the most important piece. If your boardroom, if your leadership is not behind any project that is driving huge digital transformation in your organization, they very often fail because it's a product, someone else has another product. So this cultural change is important. It also what are ethically used measures of AI if we implement it? So think about this, inform your people, get your people behind this. Then, of course, which is also hugely important, and again, at the center of this is people. That can be your customers, or it can also, of course, be your employees. I think it should be both. The technology change is more interesting. A lot of decision makers these days say, okay, we're making a decision for digital transformation and we're going to move everything we have to AWS. And that's the digital transformation. It's not. That's a technology move to another technology. And if you don't have a strategy or a business model that is actually catering to a more agile way of using your data, you're not going to be successful. And I don't want to make this too lengthy, but I think it's hugely important before you make a conscious decision to do things like conversational commerce, like I just explained. Actually, do you have people who can serve that if hundreds of orders are flowing in? Do you want to do it in an automated way? Do you want to use an AI for that? Is your call center ready to sell, or are they just looking at cases? All of this has to be looked at holistically. And again, I think you get the point. We at Sitecore, we sell technology, and this is hugely important. And we do offer workshops. We don't even charge for them, not to pretty much develop the new business model for our customer, but to hopefully consult our customers in a way that we can develop long-term partnerships and not sell software, walk away, and at the end of the contract, nothing happened besides maybe some easy use of that. So also, so that you see that it's not just us, also way more intelligent people than us have thought about this. So according to BCG, craft a clear integrated strategy. I think we covered that. Commit to leadership, meaning CEO level, like really, what is our digital strategy? Why am I taking a conscious decision as a B2B or B2C company to move to a D2C model? What's needed from a technology point of view? Do we have a call center that can support more digital orders? All those kinds of things are important. And also, how do you get people behind this change? We talk about change today. This is a lot of change for an organization. And you have to be very clear about why and how it's going to happen to make it successful. Just moving forward, so put the best people in the right places. That's hugely important. And I think they should be, or it should be communicated why they're there and why they're driving those or part of that digital transformation. And of course, adapt an agile governance mindset, meaning don't just measure every 12 months. Look at things. If things fail, it doesn't matter. Redesign them and continue, right? And again, we don't want to burn money, but I think we have a way more agile way of looking at things these days, given how fast something like our platform can help you making decisions and adapt. Monitor and measure your transformation progress. Very clear. It's not good to just to put a big budget on a project and in 5 years decide it was successful or not. I think you can measure it in a good way. And lastly, create a business-led and data platform that is very much towards the technology piece, but of course the technology is infusing your business model or how your business model should evolve and change. Okay, just briefly, because we still have some time, but not too much. So from our point of view, and you can, I mean, this is a bit of a more elaborated way of saying that digital transformation is not a destination, it's a permanent state of evolution. You could also argue digital transformation is not an end result. I think it's an ever ongoing process, right? And to be honest, it can be fun because you have technologies these days where you can very agilely with microservices try things out. You fail, you don't continue, you put a bit of budget there. So technologies are there. What is still, I think, a bit disappointing, and that's not even a German state, only 30% of companies navigate a digital transformation successfully. Why? Because I believe the things we just learned are not in place, and it's too much of a technology. I brought a bit more on that, and again, this is not from us. This is from a gentleman called Scott Galloway. I've done a few of his courses. This is from his digital strategy sprint. So he's kind of a, I would say, thought leader for digital, pretty much in retail, but an interesting guy. I'm a bit of a fanboy, I have to say. But anyhow, he speaks about and again, this is just another tool I'd like to present you that, again, we're not Accenture or BCG, but when we meet with customers and they ask us, oh, we're not ready, are we ready, should we do this or should we do just that, then actually we pull out those ideas, sometimes in a workshop format like brown paper workshop, like really just painting out customer journeys. Scott Galloway in his section 4, that's his learning or e-learning company, speaks about the T algorithm. And again, I'm not trying, or I'm not saying you should always compare yourself with a Netflix or an Amazon. That is difficult, and I think we don't want this, particularly in Germany, because there are also ethically and morally aspects of that. But what this exercise does really, really well, he looked at a couple of, I would say, parameters that actually define how a company can come to $1 trillion in evaluation or even in revenues, right? So again, very quickly, he looks at, is it appealing to human instinct? You know this, right? Amazon is appealing to our gut, Google pretty much to our brain, Facebook maybe to the heart. So, and again, I'm not saying we all have businesses that can do this, but I think it's really, really good to understand are we appealing to human instinct, even if as a B2B company, how is a candidate perceiving us? Is that perception also or is that actually the same when a candidate is meeting us digitally, right? Or is it totally different because we don't know her or him? That's important. Then he speaks about a so-called bundle. That's pretty much subscription, so a recurring revenue bundle. Don't want to get too much into details, but I think it's interesting. So do you have something in your business that can actually help you make something that was a single order in the past, now a subscription service? That's interesting, and a lot of B2B companies have that. But they're doing this via kind of outdated reordering processes over fax machines. You have AI and marketing automation to do this. And again, I think it's just good to look at this from time to time and see how your business model can adapt. Likability, so how likable is a brand? That's not easy for everyone. I appreciate that. Career accelerant, hugely important. Is your business seen as a career accelerant for young applications if they apply? And what is Puma doing to attract those people? Vertical integration, that's very, very big term. Of course, Apple owns the rails because they produce and they have the shops and things like that. Again, we're going to make this very brief because I'm running out of time. And then visionary storytelling, gross margins, and what he calls Benjamin Button, which are network products. So Tesla is a network product. They don't sell cars. It's pretty much about the data they gather and how they understand to do this. So that's behind this. Again, there's a lot to cover. I appreciate that. But I wanted to at least inspire you a bit with those ideas, because if you believe you're not ready for total customer experience, I'd argue you are, but you need to understand what aspects of your business you want to change, you want to adapt to do this. Just briefly on the Rundle piece, Slack, Salesforce acquired it for $27 billion. Interesting. Who is using or who is actually dominating the market is Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is part of a Rundle, Microsoft Office, so you get the story, right? I think that's hugely important. Just closing up. So it's about the vision and strategy. So where should the journey go? I think it's a very old tool. We all have seen it either in school or university. So pretty much the SWOT analysis, right? It's good to do this in digital and combine it with your mission statement. That's hugely important if you want to adapt a platform like ours or other big technology platforms. And then, of course, think and act company-wide. That's this unsiloing data piece. And lastly, pick partners that help you scale, but don't need an upfront investment of millions and years of development. Technologies these days is different. You need to pick technologies that allow you to implement an MVP in months, not years, right? And last but not least, and that's, I think, something that I enjoy personally a lot with customers and partners, you can try so much out these days without investing a ton. And I would just say test, analyze, and optimize. And again, for us at Sitecore, the destination is total experience. We're here for questions. I'm 11:45. I'm at the time. And thank you so much for listening. I hope it was a bit inspiring. Thanks.